Hey everybody, this is Emehe and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my top 10 tips and tricks on how to overall make your YouTube videos better. So let's just jump right into it. For my number one tip, I'm not actually going to be teaching you something about Premiere Pro. We're going to be jumping straight into Streamlabs. And first thing we're going to start out with is our Streamlabs settings. I'm not going to give you a really in-depth version. There's plenty of places on YouTube that you can find that, but I'm just going to show you a quick thing. So, and again, this is for recording. So you're going to want to go to output here and you're going to want to make sure you're on advanced mode. You want to come over here to recording. And starting off, you should be on standard. Then you want to change your path, and you want your path, what your path is it's where your recorded videos will go. So right now mine's in my big storage in YouTube under my name. And then I have this ticked, you don't have to. I just like it because it's a little tidier. And then for recording format, you need to have this on MKV. Now you might be tempted to put this on MP4, but the reason you have this on MKV is because if Streamlabs ever were to crash for any reason, your video is pretty much just gone. But if you have this on MKV, it gives you a lot more security if something like that were to happen. And next up right here is audio track. You can't actually change these here. You have to come to audio. I'll get into this later. I'll talk about SteelSeries tip number 2. So we'll just skip that for now. And then right here at the recording, you have a few options. Again, I can't click it because I am recording. You have the NVIDIA NVENC H.264, which you want to use if you're using a high-end NVIDIA graphics card, because what this means is that it will use your graphics card to record on, if that makes sense. Other ones that you have are X.264, which is a CPU one, which a lot of people use as well. Truthfully, both of them are good. It just depends on your situation. I just have mine on this because I tend to not really play GPU intensive games. And right down here in rate control, I have this set to CBR. You're going to want to set it to the same thing. And your bitrate for recording at least doesn't really matter. Set keyframe interval to 0, and then your preset is what really matters. Depending on how good your PC is, you're going to want to set this to slow or fast or anywhere in between. Mine's on P5, which is it's good quality, so it's one of the higher ones. And then I have tuning on high as well. But this just kind of depends on the kind of computer you have. But that's pretty much it for Streamlabs, except for this right here. This kind of depends on what you want to record at. I record and upload at 1440p. If you don't have as good of internet or as good of a system, you can go down to 1080p. I have a Ryzen 9 9900X and a 5070 Ti, so I have plenty of wiggle room when it comes to kind of maxing out all of these settings. And then you're going to want to make sure your FPS is on common, like 59 or 60. Doesn't really matter. But that's it for tip number 1. On to tip number 2. I want to actually talk to you about, hold on, there we go. I want to talk to you about this app. This is SteelSeries Sonar. Now what SteelSeries Sonar does is it's beautiful. Normally you have 2 tracks in here. Let me just pull this over here too. Normally in Streamlabs, you'll have 2 tracks, your microphone and your headphones. So everything you hear and everything you speak. And then you bring it into your recording software, like Premiere Pro, and you'll have 2 tracks. You'll be able to edit your microphone and your game or the music you have in the background. But a lot of times when you get to a certain point where you want microphone, game, and music, it's very good to use Sonar, because what it allows you to do, if I pause my music, as you can see, if I mute, how do you mute? Here, if I mute all of these, you can see that the first track is just my voice. The second track is, can't really hear it, but it's just the game. See? And the third track is just the music, right? And then 4th track, 5th track, and that's it. I only have 5 tracks. Now, SteelSeries Sonar, what this allows you to do is it allows you to do that. So as soon as you get in, what you want to do is you want to come over here to the master and you want to set the first one to your headset. So mine is the HyperX Virtual Surround Sound. You want to set your second one to the SteelSeries Stream or SteelSeries Sonar Stream. So set it to that. And then set the third one to the Yeti mic, right? And then what you want to do is you want to come to each of these and you want to click add to personal and add to stream, add to personal and add to stream, add to personal and add to stream, except for your mic. If you click add to personal, it'll make it so that you can hear it, which is not good. It's very hard to talk when you also have yourself talking in your ear. But what this allows you to do is you can take a software game and you can move it to the game section, and then you can move Spotify to the media section, right? And then once you've done that, you can go back into your Streamlabs, and I'll leave a link to a more in-depth video, the one that I used to help me set this up, in the description my tutorial is kind of crappy. But then you want to come here and you want to go to the audio section, and you want to set the first one to gaming, the second one to media, and then the first mic/auxiliary device to stream, and the second one to microphone. It should roughly be the same for basic OBS as well. But then what this allows is the first one is my stream. So if I were to stream, the stream were to hear everything. So you see it's pinging with my microphone, and if I stop talking, it also pings with the music. And then this one is just my game, which I have no game in the background. That's something really important, where if you open a new game, like and you there's audio, you need to make sure that you drag it from the master over to one of these categories. Shut up, right? Over to one of these categories. So as you can see, I just dragged it over to game. I want it in game. Hold on. I need to get some audio first. Press play. Here you go. Drag it over to game. Oh, it's actually auto sets to mic. Okay, well, that's fine. I don't really care about what this is, but for your actual games, you can set those in your game category, and then what they will do is they will automatically appear in here. So then when you go into Streamlabs, or not into Streamlabs, into Premiere Pro, you'll have, just like me, you'll have a bunch. So you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 4 and 5 don't matter because I don't have anything on those. But just like me, you'll have all the software you put on media, all the ones you put on gaming, and then your microphone. So it's very nice because it allows you to individually edit these. And what I can do is I can set this music one to lock. So that way when I click on this and I start cutting, it only cuts my my voice in the game. So that way the music is continuous and you don't just all of a sudden hear it cut and come back. That can be very annoying for a viewer. See, and then I can just go like this, and I can drag it back. That's step number 2. That was a pretty big one. SteelSeries is very important if you really want to level up your audio, because it also lets you have a whole bunch of different settings for all of your stuff. So your spatial audio, it's crazy. I'm not going to get into any of that. And then tip number 3 is a very awesome tip. So the 3 of the main keys that you'll need is this pointer one, which is set to V, right? So if you click V, you'll get the pointer and you'll be able to drag stuff around. Or the click tool, what's it called? Selection tool. And then C, which is coincidentally right next to V, is your cut tool. So you can cut, and then V and drag. But then delete is all the way in the corner. So you'll go cut, and then V, click on something, and then go all the way to the corner and click delete. It might not seem like a headache, but if you want to edit quickly, you need to change this. Come up to edit, go to keyboard shortcuts, find the delete key, which for me was right here, and change or type in clear. I forgot how this works. Clear, and then change it to X. So that way you have X, C, and V. That way what you can do is you can zoom in, you can go C, click, V, click X. See? And then you can get really quick with it, and you can just start cutting, and you can cut all of the blank pieces just like this. And you can get really quick with it once you do it for a while, like I have. And tip number 4, this is another tip on how to edit super quickly, is edit based off the audio. So I'm not, most of the time, for the majority of my editing process, I haven't even pressed play on the video. All I do is I come here and I just edit square gaps just like this. And I go all the way through and I do this. That actually leads us into tip number 5, is cut the gaps first. So as soon as you load your thing in, your video in, just come to a decent like zoom out, like kind of like that. Maybe a little less, like there. Depending on how quick you want yourself to talk. I normally do it about here. And then just go through and delete all the gaps. You don't have to be perfect about it. Like you don't have to get these small ones. Like you can leave some gaps, right? Some smaller gaps that might be too hard for you to get, but just go quick and just cut all of these empty gaps out, just like this. And another thing that you can do, if you have a low-end computer, a lot of times when you cut these, this is tip number 6 as well, when you cut these blank spaces and it moves your whole timeline forward like this, it can really lag your computer, especially if you're working on really high-quality files. So what you can do is you can just cut all these, right? And just leave the blank spaces. Just leave them all, continue just like this, slowly cutting. And don't worry about if you mess up, because you can always drag and bring it back later on. Just go like this, right? And go all the way down your entire timeline, or however long you want. Press Control A and then come up here, or you can just select a little segment like this. Then come up here to sequence and click close gap. Give it a few seconds. Okay, wait. Control A, sequence, close gap. It's not working. Control A, sequence. I think it's not working because I have this thing at the bottom. Is there any way for me to make it work? Sequence, close gaps. I don't get it. Why is this not working? Okay, pause. Sequence, close gap. There we go. Okay, so yeah, it was just because of this thing down here. So what you might have to do is you might have to copy this and then delete it and then Control A, sequence, close gap, and then just Control V, right? But that's a super easy way to close your gap. If you edit all of the blank spaces, all of the parts where you don't talk out of your timeline before you do that, you should only have to do it once. But that's just if you have a low-end computer. That's just an easy way for you to be able to edit all the gaps out without having to actually delete them yourselves. So it can save you a bit of time, and it can also help not lag your computer. And the 7th tip is, like I said, for your first go around, just edit all of these blank things, right? And then after you're done editing all of these, then hold on, let me pause my music. Then go back to the beginning and rewatch your video from the beginning. Rewatch it. I'm gonna mute myself because that's annoying. In fact, I'm gonna mute all these. Rewatch it, and then when you rewatch it, zoom in close and edit it very meticulously. Cut in the parts that don't sound good. Cut out the parts of the things that you don't want people to hear you say, or cut out the times where you messed up, stuff like that. And go through it, and then once you finish, rewatch it again and do the same thing again. And the more times that you rewatch it and the more times that you go back and you re-edit it and you do that again, the better it'll be. If you do it once, it'll be good. You do it again, it'll be excellent. You do it again, it'll be fabulous. I don't know what comes after excellent. The more times that you rewatch your video, the better it'll be. Maybe on the second time watching it, you realize maybe a zoom will look good here, or maybe a swoosh sound effect or something like that, or a slide transition, stuff like that. So definitely go through. Don't hesitate to rewatch it and just keep going. This can take a lot of time. Try not to give yourself deadlines. Just take your time when it comes to editing, because the more you push yourself to be quick, the worse your video will be. The more you give yourself time to be creative and actually improve your video, the better it'll be, obviously. But on to number, I believe 8 is another tip for if you have a low-end computer, is this little button right here. Go ahead and click 1/8. If you do that, it'll tone down the quality of your video just in the preview, not the actual video, just in the preview, and it'll make it, as you can see, so that it's very low quality when you're scrubbing, and when you're playing, it'll be less quality, and it just makes it so that you can edit a little easier. This is less for when you're actually watching it back and more for when you're going like this, because it can help remove the lag that you get from closing the gaps and from cutting out empty segments, and just from normal editing, like when you come in and maybe you'll go like this and stuff like that, and then maybe you'll add out this word. It can help reduce the lag on that part. And keeping on that same topic, if you come over here to preferences, edit preferences, and then come down to memory, I believe. This is gonna be different for everybody, but I have 32 gigabytes of memory in my system. So here, what you can do is you can change how much memory is allocated to Premiere Pro. So right now I have it set to 23 gigabytes, which is a lot. Premiere Pro needs a lot. If you have a 16 gigabyte system, give it like 10 or 12. And right here, you can select how much other systems have. So every other thing while Premiere is open, every other software that I have will only be allowed 8 gigabytes. So be careful on how much you give Premiere Pro, but the more you give it, the better its performance will be. Don't give it too much. If you have 16 gigabytes and you give it 16 gigabytes and set this number to 0, nothing will work. Don't do that. At least give yourself 4 to 8 spare room for the rest of your applications. And also memory cache right here. You can delete your memory cache. Will also help improve your render time and just overall performance of Premiere Pro. And one last thing on the topic of performance, if you really need to get some performance, you can, I don't ever do this, but you can, if you come up here to sequence and you go to render in and out, what it'll do is it will just render your entire sequence. If you're on a low-end computer, it might take half an hour, but once you do it, I'll let it sit here and I won't let it finish. I'm too lazy. It'll turn this bar from yellow to green right here, and it'll make it so that during this green section, it'll be a lot quicker to scrub and a lot quicker to play and stuff like that. So that could be useful if, again, you're running on a low-end computer. A lot of people say editing is hard on low-end PCs, and it is, but Premiere Pro and Photoshop, they give you a lot of things to help people like that. Anyways, on to tip number 9. I guess the tip is kind of copy other people, which doesn't really make sense. 9 and 10 are kind of the same. It's copy other people and then also find your own style. So when you're watching other videos, like other YouTubers, and you see things that they do that you like certain sound effects, certain, things that they do. I don't know, certain ways. Maybe they throw memes up every 5 seconds or pictures. I don't know. If you like that, copy it, because chances are other people like it too, and do it and see if your audience likes it. And then eventually, after a while, you'll copy like 6 different people and you put pieces of their editing into yours, and you'll get your own little amalgamation of editing, and you'll get your own little style, which is beautiful. That's exactly what you want. But yeah, that's all my tips. Mainly, the more you edit, the faster you'll be, and the more you edit, the better quality it'll be. But these are some tips that I wish that I knew much sooner when I started, because a lot of these tips, some of them I just learned, like the sequence close gaps one. I learned that one like 2 days ago, which inspired me to make this video. But anyway, I would like to thank you all for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.